Look out, Citizen is making moves. I've got a lot of respect for Citizen. The company makes a lot of watches, somewhere around 30 million per year, a huge variety of pieces, and the vast majority being affordable quartz watches. But Citizen also makes some pretty high-end quartz watches, like the Promaster collection, which the brand now just calls the Citizen. I've always wanted one of these. Super high accuracy quartz watches with exceptional finishing, very much competing with Grand Seiko, and in my opinion, sometimes exceeding Grand Seiko. Yeah, I said it. What? And Citizen also makes the most accurate mass-produced quartz movement in the world, the caliber 100. This thing is accurate to 1 second per year. Per year. And these high-accuracy quartz movements in these luxury watches, they're all photovoltaic. They are solar-powered. And light-powered watches is what Citizen does really well, and it's what it's known for, understandably. The tech is awesome, but as you might know, watch collectors don't want what's most accurate, or most efficient, or what's most technologically advanced. Watch collectors want something archaic, and delicate, and more expensive to service. Most watch collectors want mechanical watches, and hey, I get it, I'm one of them. I'm one of us. Me too. And so early last year, I raised my eyebrows a few millimeters when I saw the announcement for this new Citizen watch. It's called the Promaster Diver Automatic, and I think it demonstrates Citizen shifting its large, powerful Sauron eye onto the watch enthusiast community. And I raised my eyebrows once again when my buddy Once Upon a Wrist Shot came back from Hong Kong with this watch. A big thanks to him for loaning me this piece. Go check out his Instagram. This is an automatic watch, mechanical. A titanium dive watch with a story and vintage appeal, and that's all a bit unusual for Citizen. The story begins maybe around 1977 when someone lost their Citizen dive watch in or near the Pacific Ocean. In 1983, this Citizen Challenge dive watch was found on an Australian beach, and it was still functional after who knows how long in the ocean. The new watch is nicknamed the Fujitsubo because that means barnacle in Japanese. This modern Citizen watch is nearly a recreation of that recovered watch, with a few good upgrades. The 41mm case is made of Citizen's proprietary super titanium with Duratec coating. We'll get into what that means and if it's any good. It's 49mm long and 12.3mm thick. It has 20mm lugs and a water resistance of 200 meters. On this strap, the watch weighs 67 grams, which is very light, almost disturbingly light for a dive watch. The list price for the Promaster mechanical diver is $795 on the strap. I have seen this listed by authorized dealers for as little as $537 recently. Between discounts and exchange rates, I don't think you'll need to pay over $650 for this watch. Compared to the original found inspiration, this watch has 50 meters more water resistance, has a lighter case thanks to the titanium, has a sapphire crystal, and a better movement. So by comparison, the vintage watch looks all washed up. Anyway, you're seeing the Promaster on my 18 centimeter wrist. That's barely just over 7 inches. It works. The wrist works, yeah, but more importantly, the size of the watch works on said wrist. The watch comes with this black rubber strap, which has some pros and some cons. Pros, it's comfortable, and I like how its shape follows the shape of the case. It's a cool profile. Con, the strap is way too long. I'm guessing that it's this length so that it can be worn over a wetsuit. But if I had to estimate what % of buyers were going wetsuit diving with this watch, I'd ballpark it at 0, around 0%. So with this nice 20mm lug spacing, I've been wearing the Promaster on this 2-piece nylon strap from Ute Watch Co. This strap also happens to be too long, but a good pair of scissors and a lighter can fix that real quick. Fire. Inside the watch is the 9051 movement. Yes, it's in-house, just like any cheap Seiko watch, all the way down to $50. You see, in-house doesn't necessarily imply quality and fine watchmaking, just like off-the-shelf movements don't imply low quality. But that's not to say that the 9051 isn't good. It's actually pretty interesting for this price range. It beats at 4 Hz or 8 ticks per second, and that's a high beat rate for watches under $1,000. This is the same beat rate used by most ETA movements and by most Rolex movements. It has 42 hours of power reserve, which isn't great, but then it is anti-magnetic up to 16,000 amperes per meter, and that's more than 3 times the minimum for a watch to be called anti-magnetic. And that's at least according to the ISO 764 standard. In fact, the standard would call this an enhanced magnetic resistant watch. This is gripping literature at its best. I can't wait for the film adaptation. And since we're talking standards, technically this does not meet the ISO standard for dive watches since it doesn't have a fully graduated bezel insert. You know, there aren't minute markers all the way around the bezel. Does that matter? No, certainly not to me. But if you're really using these timing bezels to time things, this could be a miss for you. But this watch is in good company with the Blancpain 50 Fathoms and the Rolex Submariner. Those don't meet the standard either. The bezel has 60 clicks and feels a bit soft. Maybe quiet is a better word. There isn't much play in the bezel. It locks right in place, but the clicks aren't loud and solid feeling. I know that's important to some people. It wouldn't stop me from buying a watch, but I do prefer sturdier, snappier bezels. The lume is really nice though, bright and long-lasting. That's one thing I appreciate about many affordable dive watches. There are a lot of things you don't get at this price, but usually you still get plenty of lume. The design of the bezel and dial and hands isn't very interesting. It's the most divey dive watch design a company could come up with, and the only reason I won't criticize it too much is because I know this is meant to be a recreation of that 1977 washed up watch. I appreciate the inspiration, but I'm not excited about the results. But I do like that the sapphire crystal has a chamfer. That's a nice touch and an example of not cutting corners by literally cutting corners. And then there's the crown. It feels fine, it turns and threads well, but it's too small. I expect that this is also a throwback design. I usually don't pay much attention to crowns, but this one needs to be larger. And by the way, the same goes for the Royal Oak Jumbo. Tiny crown. And that watch doesn't even have a quick set date. So in conclusion, this Citizen is objectively a better watch than the Royal Oak, and I will not be taking questions, thank you. But I do like that this uses a titanium case. Titanium is about 40% lighter than steel and is hypoallergenic, which is as opposed to me who is hyperallergenic, at least socially. This case is made from Citizen's own super titanium. What makes it more super than most titanium? According to Citizen, it's scratch resistance. They use a surface hardening technology called Duratech. Citizen claims that this makes their titanium 5 times harder than steel, about 1,000 Vickers. But I'm skeptical. This isn't my watch, so I didn't want to take a springboard tool to the case, but I did notice some marks on the underside of the lugs where my friend had changed the strap and scratched the so-called super titanium. Now the hardening used by Zinn, their tegamented technology, is slightly harder than Citizen's, at least on paper. But you could not scratch a tegamented Zinn watch by simply changing a strap, so in my experience, this super titanium, I'm not so sure. But I do like the look and feel of the case. It's slightly darker gray and, again, very light. The case has some hints of interesting angles, but I would have liked Citizen to make more of these edges, more pronounced and sharper. It's almost interesting, but like I said, it just hints at what it could be. And my hope here is that Citizen continues to address the growing enthusiast market. What we lack in size, we make up for in debt and impulse purchases. Because from what I've seen, for better or worse, collectors often act as influencers to their less orologically inclined friends or acquaintances, which means if you can get collectors excited about a watch or a brand, that can filter out to normies. And a watch like this that's mechanical, affordable, classically styled, and tells a story, this seems like just the type of watch to have that broad appeal.